This is Chiropractic Marketing FM, an on-demand talk radio show that covers internet marketing best practices for chiropractors. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick McNamara. Welcome everyone to episode number 10 of the Chiropractic Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick McNamara, and today we're going to continue our discussion on how to take your chiropractic website from good to great. But first, I need to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Blogging Chiropractors. Blogging Chiropractors helps chiropractors keep their blogs active with relevant content that's designed to help convert readers into new chiropractic patients. It's blog writing made simple. Sign up for their 14-day free trial over at www.bloggingchiropractors.com. No credit card is required with no further obligation to join. So give it a try. You have nothing to lose. That's www.bloggingchiropractors.com. In part one of this series, I covered how to grab a domain name and hosting plan, how to install WordPress on a server, which WordPress framework and themes I recommend you use, and what WordPress plugin should be installed as a core set. In part two, I'll walk you through how to set up the Yoast SEO plugin, how to add your chiropractic website to Google Search Console, how to add Google Analytics to your site, and how to sign up for a Google AdWords account so you have access to Google Keyword Planner. And last, but certainly not least, how to configure the security plugin so that your site stays protected against potential hacks and malware. Today, instead of focusing on technologies that support your website, we're going to focus on cosmetic changes that'll make a huge difference to the overall effectiveness of your website. Matter of fact, the remainder of this series will be devoted to exactly that, so make sure you take good notes. For those of you that don't know, I've been doing this internet marketing and web design thing since the early days. When I say early, I mean real early, like 2002, 2003 early. I realize that's only 15 years ago, but in internet years, kind of like dog years, that's a very long time. So obviously, I've been around the block a few times. I've seen things come and go. And the nice thing is that I've had time to figure out what works and what doesn't. You see, there are a ton of things available today that look enticing but simply don't work. They are what I call shiny objects and are responsible for the shiny object syndrome. But you can do yourself a favor and avoid them like the plague by following my suggestions. To kick things off, make sure your website is using a professional logo that represents both your brand and your brand's colors. You'd be surprised at how many chiropractors simply don't have one, but you really need one. Think about it. When you think of Coca-Cola, what images pop up in your mind? Besides the drink itself, I guarantee you their logo does. How about Google or NBC or Nike or Apple or Lego or Ford or Disney? When I mention those brands, what comes to mind? Of course, their logos do. So if it's important to the top brands of the world, it should be important to you. Now, if you don't know where to start, I recommend either 99 Designs, which is found over at 99designs.com, or LogoWorks, which is found over at logoworks.com. Both are very competent and will design an amazing logo for you and your chiropractic practice, so check them out. Next, you need to make sure your website has an effective top menu bar. In other words, you need to make sure its navigation is user-friendly and quickly leads both prospects and patients to the most important areas of your website. For example, things like your appointment calendar, contact form, and new patient intake forms should be easily accessible from this menu. If it isn't, you're causing a ton of frustration for your site visitors and potentially losing business. Also, make sure you have a clickable phone number located at the top of your site. This is important because back in November of 2016, mobile internet usage surpassed desktop usage for the very first time in history. So making sure your website is mobile friendly, not just in its appearance through mobile responsiveness, but also through its functionality. Both prospects and patients alike will thank you for it, even if they never personally tell you so face to face. Having a clickable phone number is just so easy to use and makes it even easier for a prospect to follow through with their initial appointment. So just like Woody said in the movie Toy Story, if you don't have one, get one. Next, make sure you add social follow buttons at the top of your site. This will encourage more people to bookmark and share your website as well as its content, which in return will generate more traffic back to your site. It'll also let your visitors know what social sites you're active on and how they can potentially reach you in real time. Now notice, I said potentially reach you. I realize you can't be online 24/7, but you or a staff member, or better yet, a designated social media manager should really monitor the platforms you're on, at least during normal business hours, so that you can answer questions, interact with your local community, as well as convert prospects into new patients. This is super easy to do nowadays with smartphones. Just download the app, turn on notifications, monitor any mentions of your brand throughout the day, and respond appropriately. This will go a long way toward building an online reputation within your local community. The last step I want to cover today is make sure you add a lead magnet section at the top of every page of your website. The purpose of this section is to capture as many leads from your website as possible so that you can start building your email list. There are various ways to do this. You can use Hello Bar, Sleek Note, Opt-in Monster, Attention Grabber, Sumo Me, the WordPress notification bar, etc., etc. Just do a quick Google search for WordPress notification toolbar plugins, and you'll be met with a ton of options to choose from. If you're just starting out, I'd obviously recommend one of the free options. There's no point in spending additional money on these tools until your entire lead generating funnel has been put in place. We'll talk more about lead generation in a later episode, but for now, I recommend that you head on over to my blog and read why building an email list should be your number one objective with chiropractic marketing. I'll leave a link to that particular article in today's show notes. All right, I think I'll close things up here. If you would like to participate in the conversation, just head on over to chiropracticmarketing.fm/ask and fill out the form. Again, that's chiropracticmarketing.fm/ask. And before you head out, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Just click on the links found in today's show notes, or simply go over to iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or Stitcher and search for the Chiropractic Marketing Podcast. Also, I would greatly appreciate your review of this podcast over at iTunes. Let me know what's good, what's bad, and what simply needs to be axed. The choice is yours, but reviews do help build awareness of this podcast within iTunes. So I'd greatly appreciate your review and any input you can leave. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.